Pressure, yeah. Okay, can you imagine taking it without a review?
No. I think I would.
All right, here we go. We're going to start over here with Warner.
Oh
I want you to tell me who served as Secretary of State under President Kennedy. Secretary of State, and I want the rest of you to give her a chance to answer. Who served as Secretary of State under President Kennedy? Well, let's hear it one more time. Dean Rusk, okay? Sadria, who was the first human being to orbit the Earth? First human being to orbit the
Oh,
Earth.
that was Yuri Gagarin.
Yuri Gagarin, very good. Okay. Haley, who was the Mercury 7 astronaut that flew in space for 2 days? Only Mercury flight that went 2 days. Who was the pilot? Very last flight.
Gordon.
What's that?
Wait, what?
Gordon Cooper Jr.?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yep, okay. Callie, who was the famous Pulitzer Prize winner and Nobel Peace Prize winner who died in 1962? William Faulkner. Very good. Glenn, who was the communist leader of Cuba during the Cold War?
Castro.
Fidel Castro. Very good.
Well, we're just jumping.
Jump, jump, jump. When I'm jumping like this with names, what could you anticipate on the test?
You're gonna do the same.
But what kind of format? Matching. There you go. You can probably count on some matching when we're jumping like this. Okay, let's see. Taylor, Bolter. Shh. You know how I would do this? Just a hint. I'd do it off the ID sheet and then go back. But that's up to you. Maybe just highlight the IDs. Okay, Ms. Fulford.
What?
Who was the Negro whose admission to the University of Mississippi caused rioting on campus?
Oh.
Girls either.
James Meredith.
James Meredith.
Wait, is that in the?
Okay, Hannah Johnston. What man scored 100 points in an NBA game against the New York Knicks?
Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain. Very good.
What was
Wilt
the first name?
Chamberlain.
Wilting Flower.
You might remember that.
What is Will? Where's he? What's his name? I don't know.
Shh, you guys get in your notes and get after this yourself. Okay, Ashton, who was the CIA director that President Kennedy fired after the Bay of Pigs affair?
Alan Dulles.
Alan Dulles. Very good. Hey, Emmy, be careful on this one. Who was the Soviet premier during the Cold War who saw Berlin as a malignant tumor? Soviet premier, in other words, president, that saw Berlin as a malignant tumor during the Cold War. Nikita Khrushchev. Very good. Brianna? Who was that famous person shot in the back trying to flee over the Mexican wall in August of 1962? No, excuse me, Berlin.
Peter
Peter Fechter. Peter Fechter. Emily, my dear, who served as Secretary of Defense under President Kennedy? This can be Secretary of Defense.
Robert S. McNamara?
McNamara.
Yeah,
Yep.
there we go.
Robert S. McNamara was Secretary of Defense. Okay, Ms. McClure. Who commanded Sigma 7, who earned a lot of money as a spokesman after that flight? Who commanded Sigma 7, who later made a few bucks on the side, promote ActiFed?
Walter.
Sharara Jr. Walter Sharara Jr. was the commander of Sigma 7 who earned a little few bucks as a spokesman for ActiFed after his most famous cold in space history. Okay, Levi, who was Secretary of the Treasury under President Kennedy?
C. Douglas Dillon.
Very good, C. Douglas Dillon. Jewel, who was the first American to orbit the Earth? First American to orbit the Earth.
It was Alan Shepard.
Orbit.
Oh, orbit. John Glenn.
John Glenn Jr., very good. John Glenn Jr. was the first American to orbit the Earth. Hannah, Vigil, who was the astronaut, the Mercury 7 astronaut that landed in the Pacific Ocean about 200 miles off target after his mission? Scott Carpenter, is that right? Okay.
Wait, what was the question?
Who was the astronaut from Mercury 7 that landed in the Pacific Ocean after his flight and was like 200 miles off target? Mauricio, who was the press secretary during the Kennedy administration? Press secretary.
Pierre Salinger.
Pierre Salinger, very good. Pierre Salinger.
Wait, question, who was the guy who landed in Scott?
Jacob, who was the only member of the Mercury 7 that did not command a flight?
Donald Deke Slayton.
Donald Deke Slayton, very good. Mary, who commanded Liberty Bell 7, which sank after splashing down the Pacific Ocean, and this commander was also killed on the launch pad of Apollo 1?
Virgil Grissom.
Virgil Gus Grissom, yep. And Carmen, which astronaut said the famous prayer just before takeoff in Freedom 7?
Shepard, Alan Shepard.
Alan Shepard, very good. Okay, those will be used in the form of matching, so know who those people are and you'll be in pretty good shape on that. Okay, Alex. During the Bay of Pigs scenario, Cuban exiles were being trained by the CIA for an invasion of Cuba, correct?
Yeah.
What were the objectives of that mission? What were the objectives? There were three of them. Three objectives of the Bay of Pigs invasion.
To trigger anti-communist attitude in Cuba.
Okay, to trigger an anti-communist attitude, good. Number two,
To start a revolt of Cuban citizens against the Castro's dictatorship.
very good. What'd you say again? To
Start a revolt of the citizens against
Okay,
Castro.
to start a revolt against the government of Cuba and Fidel Castro. And what was the third objective?
For Castro's assassination to happen and therefore the freedom of Cuba.
Okay, the assassination of Fidel Castro would be great. So what I'd like you to say, and she did a very good job. Number one, trigger an anti-communist attitude. Number two, cause a revolt by Cuban citizens against Castro's dictatorship, she said. And number three, the assassination of Castro. Okay, Emery, what would be the United States' or what would be the American involvement in the Bay of Pigs invasion? What was President Kennedy going to have to put on the table, so to speak? Three things.
They needed him to provide U.S. air support during the invasion,
Air support during the invasion.
to commit American troops to go into Cuba and clean up afterwards,
Very good.
and to put a democratic government in Cuba.
Very good. That's perfect. Perfect. Okay. Air cover, air support for the exiles during the invasion, the use of American troops to mop up after the invasion, and to establish a democratic government in Cuba. Perfect. Very good. Okay, Aaron, give me one reason, one of the three, why that entire operation turned to be a disaster.
There's basically no protection.
Where are your notes, young lady?
Half of them are like at my house right now, so.
The half that you need?
Yeah, I don't have to leave.
Okay, how about you? Go ahead there, Mackenzie, fire up.
On the next two?
No, just give me the one that I haven't quite figured out yet.
What you're saying is basically there's no protection because the mountains weren't close enough where they landed?
Okay, I would say the landing site chosen by the CIA was too far from the mountains, which, did not provide protection, okay? So the landing site chosen by the CIA was too far from the mountains, that would be fine. Okay, give me a number 2 then, go ahead.
Anti-communist attitude never happened.
Right, the revolt, I wouldn't say the anti-communist attitude, that may have happened, but what it didn't do is it didn't lead to a revolt. They might have, some of them had an anti-communist attitude before they ever did it. So I wouldn't say that, I would say that the revolt that was projected by the CIA never happened, okay? And what was the third reason it went to?
At the last minute, Kennedy decided not to provide the air support.
Very good, Kennedy decided not to provide air support for the exiles. Now, Glenn, tell me why all of a sudden Kennedy decided not to provide that air support?
Bobby talking out of it.
Okay, Bobby talked about it. And why did he talk him out of it, Sadria? What was Bobby's concern?
The assassination sequence.
Yeah, he did not want it, he did not think the United States needed to be involved in the assassination of another country's leader. Okay? Important you know that. Okay? Okay, Kennedy wasn't very happy about that, was he? Mauricio, what did he do as a result of that debacle? Because he was angry. Now we're gonna talk about what he did to make up for the disaster, but what did he do because he was angry?
He fired Alan, but he goes.
Yeah, and why did he fire him? Why was he angry at the CIA? You remember? He didn't think they did what? Gave him all the information he needed to make this thing work, okay? Okay, so name one thing, please, Brianna, one thing that Kennedy did to make up for that disaster.
He sent $50 million worth of supplies in exchange for the exile.
Very good. Now listen, make sure you don't mess it up. He didn't send $50 million. Yeah, and she said that right. $50 million worth of supplies in exchange for the exiles, the captured exiles. Okay, and what else did he do?
He got on TV,
And,
told the country what was going on. He took all the blame, so
okay, he took full responsibility for the actions at the Bay of Pigs. He didn't blame the CIA, he didn't blame his aides, he didn't blame anybody. He stood up there, swallowed his pride, and took full responsibility for the debacle. Full responsibility. Anybody remember one of the quotes, or the quote I kind of liked the most when he mentioned his responsibility? What did he say?
I'm the responsible officer of the government.
Okay, that was the one, and another one he said?
victory has 100 fathers and defeat has an orphan.
That's the one I like. Victory has 100 fathers, and defeat is an orphan. Boy, that's the truth. Okay? All right. Jacob, other than pressure he received from his father, give me one reason why President Kennedy chose his brother Bobby as Attorney General despite his lack of experience. Other than the fact he was pressured by his father.
Knew we could trust him.
He knew he could trust him. Okay, Emmy, give me the other reason, other than he knew he could trust him, and he was pressured by his father, that President Kennedy picked his brother as Attorney General despite the fact he had no experience.
He knew Bobby would always give him an honest answer.
He knew Bobby would always give him an honest answer. Very good. Okay? Okay, make sure I get this part out. Make sure. Okay, let's see, who haven't I picked on a while? Carmen, I'll pick on you a minute here, my dear. Tell me the two things that the Peace Corps was established to provide developing nations.
Humanitarian support like aid, food, water,
Okay, and if you just said humanitarian support, that would be great. What else?
education.
Education. So it would be humanitarian support and education. Okay? Okay, Ashton, give me one goal of the New Frontier. First of all, what was the New Frontier?
Well, that was his administration.
Okay, first part of the notes, give me one objective or one goal of the New Frontier.
To build up the military with conventional weapons, or non-nuclear.
Yeah, and I would put, build up the military of conventional, and I would put in parentheses, non-nuclear weapons. Okay, how about another one there, Taylor Colfer?
Ask the Russians and the race for sure.
Pass the Russians in the race for space. Miss Vigil, one more.
Provide government money for education.
Provide government money for education, very good. And Haley, the last one.
Provide medical care for elderly.
Very good, provide medical care for the elderly. Okay, let's kind of, if you want to kind of help you out here, get to your notes on the Berlin Wall. We're gonna, so we can kind of do that. Okay, a little statistical question here. And I'll give this to somebody that's really smart in math, Emily Keller. I want you to give me a brief comparison of the rate of infiltration of East Berliners into West Berlin from July of 1961 to early August of 1961. What was the rate of infiltration from people from East Berliners going into West Berlin from July 61 to early August of 61?
It started out as like 1,000 people per day and then rose to 2,500 people per day in August.
Okay,
Is that what you're looking for?
kind of, you answered two questions, that's good. So the answer to this question, compare the rate of infiltration of East Berliners into West Berlin from July of 1961 to early August of 1961, would have been 1,000 a day. How about after August 1st of 61? 2,500 a day. Now, the reason the rate of infiltration is important is when we get to the Vietnam War, we're going to be talking about the infiltration of North Vietnamese soldiers into South Vietnam, which was a problem. And could you really tell the difference between a North Vietnamese soldier and a South Vietnamese soldier? Not really. Okay, could you tell the difference between an East Berliner and a West Berliner just by looking at them? No. So, it's important you know that. Okay. Allison? Give me one reason why President Kennedy did not intervene when the Berlin Wall was being constructed. Why did he just sit there and take it, so to speak?
Because he knew that Khrushchev wasn't trying to get West Berlin.
Very good. He knew that if he put the wall up, that Khrushchev wasn't going to try to take West Berlin. Otherwise, he wouldn't be walling it in, right? Okay, Ms. Warner, give me another reason why he didn't intervene. Took the easy way out, didn't you? Yeah, he made a comment, he quoted saying, "A wall is much better than a war." So who's going to take the bull by the horn here, Emery, and tell me the third reason why he chose not to intervene?
He realized that the wall would be the crisis between the Allies and the Soviets.
Very good. He believed that this Berlin Wall would diffuse the crisis between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. At least it would put the tension on hold. Okay? Very good. Okay, Jewel, why did President Kennedy ground John Glenn Jr. from further space flights after his Friendship 7 flight?
Because he didn't want the new American generation to die in space.
Away. Didn't want him to get hurt or die in space.
What was the question?
So the reason why President Kennedy grounded John Glenn Jr. from further space flights after Friendship 7 is he did not want his new American hero to either be hurt or, more importantly, killed in space travel. Mauricio, what was the name of the world's first satellite into space? It'll end in a 1 because it was the first. First satellite in space. Sputnik 1. Yeah, who sent it in? Spew. That's nice spewing out that answer, Sputnik 1. You should remember that tomorrow because you can spew out that answer. What's that? Soviet. It was a Soviet satellite. Okay? Okay. Callie, give me one example of why President Kennedy was at the height of his popularity according to historians.
Charm and good looks.
In April 22nd of 62. Charm and good looks. Okay, give me another one there.
Wait, when was this?
Jolynn?
What?
Jalen. Am I the first person ever to say that?
Call me Jolyn.
Really? Well, I'll take that as a first, good. Jalen McClure, give me another reason why historians said President Kennedy was at the height of his popularity on April 22nd, 1962, other than the fact he was handsome and good looking.
He was young and had a young wife and small children and a wife.
Okay, you could say, I'll give you a 2 on that. You can say he had a beautiful wife, young wife in the White House, and you can always also put that he had young children in the White House. And what was another reason people kind of liked him? Because the persona that the family portrayed when, Haley? Persona that the family portrayed publicly when they were doing what? Mauricio, help me. You were gonna say it.
And they played that football.
Well, they were playing touch football at their summer home in Hyannisport, Massachusetts. Okay? All right. By late 1963, Emmy, by late 1963, how many Peace Corps volunteers were there? Remember, they were trying to decide whether this was going to be a temporary or a permanent thing. So how many Peace Corps volunteers were there by late 1963?
Oh, 11,000.
11,000 would be good, yeah, 11,000. Hey, Fulford, what was the occupation of Robert McNamara, Secretary of Defense, before he was appointed to that position in the Kennedy cabinet? What was his job?
Who?
Robert McNamara, what was his job prior to being?
Oh, he was the previous president of Ford Motor
He
Company.
was the president of Ford Motor Company, very good. Allison, concerning the space race,